What's up YouTube, Zero here, and welcome to the place where gamers, witches, wizards, and superheroes unite. Today, I'm going to be doing another build video in Kingdoms of Amalur Rereckoning. I've done it before, but we're doing a later build for the Jack of all trades. This time, I'm at level 23, focusing on the Prodigy Destiny. So we've seen an earlier Jack of all trades build. This one is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, it's a later level, but I'm going to be going into a couple of other traits that are different than what I went into before. I absolutely love this build. Jack of all trades is my favorite setup. So without further ado, let's get into the setup. So first, we're on the Prodigy Destiny, which requires 17 in Might, Finesse, and Sorcery. On this Destiny, we get plus 15% to melee, ranged, and magic attack damage. Our equipment requirements are reduced by 25%, plus 1 to all skills, that says skills, not abilities, plus 7% total damage resistance, and we also get plus 5% chance to critical hit. Definitely a very great Destiny to be on. First, let's start with Sorcery, where of course we have to go into Storm Bolt. We're going to hurl lightning at our opponent, then Conservative Casting, reducing our casting costs. Then I'm going to do Mark of Flame, where I can mark targets and then light them on fire. I go into Chakra Mastery. This is just so I can get to that 20, so I can go into the next abilities. The next one I go into is Ice Barrage, and then I upgrade my Chain Lightning. Now on the Might tree, first area I'm going to go into is Skillful Defense, where I get plus a percentage of damage mitigation while blocking, and then I get a Shield Bash. Now you can see my abilities are increased. This is because I got a Destiny card that increases them, but you'll still do well if they aren't increased. Then I get Hardy Constitution, where I get plus health and plus elemental resistance. Then I go into Adrenaline Surge, 70% chance to trigger when my health falls below 25%, which restores health and gives me plus damage, which is absolutely awesome as a failsafe, just in case you do get below that threshold. Then Greatsword, it's going to be my main weapon. I'm increasing the damage. Concussive Force, where I get plus a percentage of damage against stunned enemies. Now onto the Finesse tree, which is my lowest tree. I'm going to go into 2 Longbow. First the Longbow Mastery, and then the Longbow above it. I also have Shadow Flare, where I throw dust and then can throw daggers at my opponents. Then after this, we're going to see the Envenomed Edge, where I can poison my targets. It's a consistent cost to my mana, but it is very good, so I can poison my targets and do damage over time. And then, of course, the other area in my bow, Draw Power. The bow is going to be my second weapon that I use. The Greatsword is going to be my first, and then my bow for kind of the close range and long range. That's how I balance it out. I use the Greatsword and then the bow. So let's talk about this build. There are different enemies in this game which are vulnerable to different abilities or different elemental abilities. That's why on the Sorcery tree, I have the Mark of Flame, which does fire. I have my Shock, and I also have my Freeze ability. So I can damage different targets that are vulnerable to different elemental damages. That's one of the reasons why I go into it. One of the awesome combinations on this build is using the Storm Bolt, my Shock, that has a chance to stun enemies. And then in the Might tree, we have increased damage against stunned enemies. So that's absolutely awesome, being able to stun my enemies and then dealing increased damage to those stunned enemies. It doesn't matter what I use, my Greatsword or my bow. So if the enemy is closer to me, I'll use my Greatsword. If they're further away, I'll use my bow, but I get that increased damage. The Envenomed Edge is going to help me deal that poison damage. It's going to help me deal damage over time, so I can potentially kill those enemies even quicker, or maybe poison an enemy and then focus on another enemy so that enemy can continually take damage. that is where a lot of this comes in and is great offensively. But now let's take a look at some of those defensive traits that are also awesome about this. I have my blocking ability, which is going to help me block against a bunch of different attacks. I'm going to be able to mitigate a lot of that damage when I'm blocking, and then the add-on to that is going to increase my resistance and increase my health. Adrenaline Surge is there just as kind of my failsafe if my health does start falling low. I don't use it a lot because the defense on this build is just so great. The Destiny allows me to equip some stronger armor because the equipment rate or the equipment costs are reduced. So I'm going to be able to wear that stronger armor despite my level being a little bit lower, which is absolutely awesome. My character is insanely defensively powerful. And then we, of course, are reducing our casting cost by 22% thanks to our sorcery tree, and that's always useful no matter what you're using. Reducing those costs are going to be nice. Again, I have a lot of different sorcery abilities, so I can deal the vulnerable elemental damage on those different enemies. So let me know what you think about this build. Are you using something similar on a jack of all trades build, or do you have something completely different? There are a lot of different ways to play this game and different abilities. I absolutely love it, but this is my favorite setup in this game so far. Again, level 23 jack of all trades build. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more video game content. Well, until next time, peace.